Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, welcome to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk. Thank you for your continued support of this platform that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. Yes, you are bold, brave, you dare greatly. I say it all the time. You need to own it. Bring it into your heart and own it, because you're changing lives and you're changing the world each and every day. Boy, is this an exciting time to be in industry? It is. All right, in the hot seat. I've been wanting to get her on this program for a number of months. She did. She said yes. I got her form right here. Nikki Gonzales. Weintek is the company, and we're going to be talking about the human interface, right? We're going to be talking the human-machine interface, HMI. Let's get cracking. Yeah. It's exciting. Yes, I was excited. Nikki Gonzales on Industrial Talk. You know, especially in 2026, I'm a big proponent of just continuously learning. That's what I like it. I'm learning Spanish, by the way. And you know what? I'm failing miserably. But I'm sure going to soldier on and continue to press forward. And I'm going to master Spanish, within quotes. I'm going to master Spanish. But it's the passion and the desire to continuously learn. So we're in industry, right? And things are changing so fast. And it's exciting. And you almost have to be, it's like a roller coaster. So you buckle on in, you pull the straps over your shoulders, and you just get ready to go for a ride and enjoy it and just be excited about it. But you know what's available to you? If you're saying, yeah, I agree with you, Scott, I'm all in, is the fact that you can collaborate with individuals like Nikki and others who are passionate. Boy, are they passionate about what they do, and a big heart to help you succeed. It's there, and then people will have these conversations, and it's an absolute must. You just keep that. It just if there's a desire in 2026 is to get and extract as much knowledge and value out of just what you do. You have to succeed. It's a non-negotiable. And individuals like Nikki and others are there specifically to help you succeed. And you know what the best part about it? They're nice people. Nikki's nice. She's an open book. She just wants you to succeed. It's just a great time. All right. Couple of points of business. Now, when I started podcasting, it was just out of a desire. I was sitting there. I said, for my other business, I said, I've got to do more from a marketing perspective. I've got to understand what is out there, why it's important. That's what it was all about. Driving back, listening to podcasts, decided that I'm going to podcast. 8 years ago, there it is. Did I have an idea of what it was? No. It was all about this passion to try to understand more about marketing and where it can benefit you as an industrial, benefit my company and you as well from an industrial perspective. And the reality is you need to get your story out there. You need to. You need to be able to communicate it. You need to be able to communicate it in a way that is approachable and human. The companies that do that well have greater opportunities. I said it. Boom, right there. So no matter what, no matter how uncomfortable it is, which it is, look at me. If I can do it, you can do it. Don't come to me and say, Scott, I can't do it, because I did it. And I continue to do it. And I continue to put myself out there because I'm passionate about you. So you need to tell your story. So we have 2 podcasts that you need to be aware of. One, every time I had a marketing question or comment, I would go ask my daughter because she knows this stuff. And of course, there's no friction. It's my daughter. I just sort of go, hey, Molly, blah, blah, blah. And to get the latest insights and informations from someone that is in the marketing trenches, my daughter. So we have a podcast called Ask Molly. I ask Molly, you can ask Molly. Ask Molly. And we did a podcast on email marketing. Does it really work? You can debate that all day long, but it's a part of the communication process. So we need to make it work. We need to figure that out. Ask Molly. That's one podcast. Ask Molly. Check it out on the Industrial Talk Podcast Network. The other one is one that's really near and dear to my heart. It's called the Business Beatitudes. And the reason why I like that is because it starts to talk about the soul of the individual. Industry as a whole is people. It's people. Yeah, you got the technology, you got all this innovation that exists out there, but it's truly people. And the people like Nikki and others are make industry phenomenal. So Business Beatitudes, that podcast, talks about that soul, talks about the beauty of what that means. And sure, we're going to be talking business, but the reality is that that's the Business Beatitudes. Beautiful business. I believe in my heart, I share it with you, that industry is beautiful. Changed my mind. All right. Those are the 2. Ask Molly, Business Beatitudes, new podcast out on the Industrial Talk Podcast Network. Let's get into the conversation. Fairly lengthy. Zip through it. Whenever, whatever. HMI, Human Machine Interface. Cool topic. And if you ever go to some of these manufacturing, which we're going to be on some manufacturing conferences, and you look at their HMI, it's cool stuff. It really is. It's cool stuff. It has evolved and it has changed, and it is absolutely integral to the success of automation and so on. And Nikki, whoa, she knows it. So anyway, we're going to have all the contact information for Nikki out on Industrial Talk, so you need to reach out to her. That is like, here's a priority. Here's the next level of priority. You need to reach out to Nikki. Make her a part of your network. All right, let's get on with the conversation. Enjoy, Nikki. Nikki!
Welcome to it. So good to see you.
Giddy with excitement. She's a legend. She is. She's a legend. I think she's a legend right there. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Oh, blush. Oh, blush. Yeah. Nikki and I connected a few months back, but she's quite prolific on LinkedIn and posting stuff and getting her voice out there and carrying that flag of optimism and, success for industry. Welcome.
Thank you.
I was just running out of words to say. I was off real fast.
Optimism makes success. I like that.
I thought, how do we get out of this one, Scott? I don't know where to go. Let's just end it now. So how you doing? You doing well?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. My world is full of silver linings.
Yes. And I agree with that because you're surrounded by great people. You are. Yep. I've seen those people. I know they're great. Yeah. Anyway, tell us before we get into the old conversation, give us a little background on Nikki. Where did he come from? What's your story? Help people understand who Nikki is.
I am a weirdo with ADHD, and that just helps set the stage. A lot of things that I thought were attributed to me or other things actually are very common traits for that. I'm from Iceland originally. I moved here to Houston when I was in middle school. I never knew what I wanted to do, and I still don't.
What do they speak in Iceland?
Icelandic. Ég tala reprennandi íslensku.
I was just going to look at you, throw down. Woo-hoo! I was getting ready. Can you speak it? Of course you can. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay.
ADD.
I moved here in middle school with my dad, who was an electrical engineer, and he had done some work across borders back when we lived in Iceland, and demonstrated himself to be a capable sales engineer, which it just comes from the fact that he's an engineer that can actually talk to people and explain what he does, right? He's not a sales guy. But he ended up getting hired as a marketing manager for a British company having a survey division here in Houston. We moved when I was in middle school. They ended up shutting down that company and offered us to go back to Europe. But my dad had a dream. He wanted to live here. So he started his own company when I was in high school, I believe. So I started working for my dad, along with babysitting and other jobs that I could do without having a visa, because we were here on a work visa. My dad could work, the rest of the family could not. And so I just started working for his small business when I was in middle school. I was still in middle school when that happened. And I started just working like every summer, a slightly different job in the business. Accounting, front office, I would answer the phone, I would clean the office. I started doing sales engineering sort of towards the end a bit, because one day the sales guy wasn't in and I picked up the phone and somebody called from an ad that we had placed in a trade magazine. And they said, you know what, just run with it until you need help. Well, I didn't need help and I closed the deal. And that was right around the time I worked there all throughout college. And I got a business degree because I saw my dad as kind of my role model. And at that time, he was a CEO, even though he was, really, he's an engineer's engineer. And I didn't know that, I never knew what I wanted to do. I liked interacting with people and I liked solving problems. And so I found that sales engineering is a profession. I didn't really know that until I started looking for jobs that were engineering-like, but didn't require the degree. And engineering, marketing, sales, and recruiting kind of came up as options. And I ended up working for a very probably well-known sensor manufacturer called Keyence that has a direct sales force. I worked in their machine vision division when it was new for about 3 years, and got my chops in Northern California, walking into factories of all kinds, from the high-tech Silicon Valley to the chicken processing and whatever else goes on in the Central Valley of California. And it gave me an insanely just awesome look into manufacturing. And from there, I got really interested so I was doing a lot of quality inspection and looking at products on high-speed production lines with cameras. But then I'm a very intensely curious person. So what goes on after I detect a bad part, right? We kick it out. What happens before that? How do we detect parts before they become bad? How do we see the trends? And I ended up doing motion, pneumatics, motion control with Festo for a while. And then I moved into software, design software. How do we design products that are manufacturable so that we don't end up with these defects down the line because it's hard to make something, right? How do we optimize the cost and manufacturability of the designs before they even hit the factory? And so I did that for a while. I learned a lot about high performance computing, running simulations. That was kind of the beginning of my interest in AI as well. And I ultimately ended up working for an AI startup that was doing inventory predictions. So if you can see, like, kind of, I see this whole supply chain and I was like, okay, I got to see what's going on here and here and here and here. And my career, so I've worked for, several companies.
You got started when you were 10, because I'm having a hard time putting the math together. Yes,
that also. So when I interviewed for a job, it was kind of easy to answer all those questions because I had already been working for quite a while. And I just really, really enjoy kind of like connecting dots that from all these different things that I'm interested in and that I've gotten to learn from these different roles. And I most recently, I ended up working for a startup that was doing supply chain software and inventory management and e-commerce and stuff for distributors in the industrial automation space. Because the way that we do buying in the B2B is so different. We have all these regional distributors and we have all these catalogs of thousands of SKUs that, it's a different animal than the B2C. And why isn't it as easy to buy industrial products as it is to go on Amazon and buy something from my house, right? And the answer to that is complex. And I wanted to try to solve that. I joined a startup that was trying to solve that. Ultimately, that startup did not succeed. But I don't know. I'm a sucker for doing hard things. And so I really wanted to do that. I immersed myself in it for 3 years. And then I just kind of burned out. I did too much. I have two little
that's
kids.
rough.
I traveled a lot. I started a podcast that became more popular than I expected. So that, just everything kind of wound up on itself.
Yeah.
And so this year I decided that I need a chapter in my life that is a little bit more family friendly, and wanted to do something that for the first time in my life, I wasn't starting at the bottom of a really steep learning curve with the job, having to start everything over from relationships to learning a new industry. And so I've worked now for this HMI manufacturer. We have a very small product line, so I don't have to know thousands of different technologies. But I get to use a lot of what I've learned over the years in my role, which is very unique and interesting. I kind of get to do, I get a lot of leeway to have ideas and run with them. And that's exactly the type of position that a person like me, I think, needs. And this is a company that cares a lot about my well-being and my family as well. And so my kids are 5 and 7. And I just, it's a hard balance for people that are really interested in their jobs and their careers to not become, workaholics and ignore their families. And so I feel like I found a really good sweet spot right now of being able to do what I love, stay at the forefront of this technology without having to run myself ragged doing it. I get to be a specialist in something I know really well, and I get to have fun doing it. And at the same time, I go pick up my kids at the end of the day and get to spend time with them, which is ultimately why we do all this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But just, when you have the time, when you got the free time, like me, I just dive into this type of stuff. It just intrigues me. So it's not work, right? It's like continuous education.
Yeah.
Like they just never stop learning.
Lifetime learning, right? That's 100%. If that's not part of your vocabulary right now, like might as well, I don't know, go retire and just sit somewhere, because things are moving so fast. You cannot be valuable in the job market without continuing to upskill yourself.
You will never retire. There's just
I know, I will not.
There is no way. I get people say, "Well, Scott, why don't you retire?" Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now? To do what? Nothing? No way. There's just too much going on. Whoa, you got to do that. That's cool. This is cool. This is I have to ask the question. One. I thought why can't industry be more like Amazon? What was the challenge there? What?
That's
because I don't know why.
I'll give you a short answer and then, or try to anyway. It's kind of a long history that actually dates back to like World War II when the troops came home and they needed jobs, and sales was a great place for people to go that kind of had that background and whatever, and like putting men back to work. And so there were some laws enacted that shaped how we sell certain types of products here in the United States. And it's very different from other places because of this historical context to it. But meaning that manufacturers couldn't sell their products directly to people. They couldn't sell across state lines. And so this whole network of manufacturers selling through regional distributors was a thing. And that system is something that has stayed. And it's almost like you can't really start over. And so you have to navigate this very, very complex landscape that was dictated back at the time by laws. And so here in the United States, for instance, now we have the ability, like a manufacturer can dictate, for instance, to a seller where they're allowed to sell, who they're allowed to sell to, for how much they're allowed to sell. And in other places like Europe, for instance, that is illegal and it's considered anti-competitive. So the answer is more complex than just technology, for instance. But the other one I would say is industrial B2B companies have just very much been behind the curve on digitalization and things that enable them to create that easy consumer experience. So many of them, even the manufacturers themselves, they don't have their own product data in a format that enables easy online sales. Let alone the systems, the e-commerce, the fulfillment, all of that. So it's a pretty complex answer.
I didn't know that.
And you can I'll talk about it for 2 to 3 hours. So
I didn't know that at all. And what's interesting is that I'm always attracted to and gravitate to young thinking. I'm always, so I'll use my daughter as an example. Whenever I talk to her, she's already 10 steps ahead of me using whatever. It's just ingrained and naturally in her head. And I think understanding that she's a future leader and a bunch of other people that are the same way, and this is how they consume information, I guarantee you somebody's going to say, well, this is not right. I want that.
I just literally read a Reddit thread today about somebody asking about a certain brand of valves. Can anyone help me figure out how I can buy these valves from someone other than my local authorized distributor? Because I'm completely done with that company. I don't want to do business with them. They always send me the wrong thing. It's really expensive. It takes them forever to get back to me.
Yeah. See?
And the answers were, well, yeah, good luck. That's just how it is. You can't do that. Like if a competing company or if another distributor of this product does business with you, they may do it once or twice, but then they may lose their rights to sell that product. So the answer is pretty much, sorry, you hate those people, but you're stuck doing business with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I think young people to me, when I entered this world and found this kind of stuff out, it blew my mind. And secondly, I thought, how can it not be considered some sort of illegal or discriminatory to say, no, you can't, I won't take your money. You are not allowed to buy a product from me. Especially, so I started in this kind of space working in the supply chain, trying to help people find parts when they were completely unavailable during COVID. And what I found is you have 17,000 independent regional distributors of industrial products across North America. That's a huge long tail. And they all have warehouses of varying sizes, right? And they have stock. And they try to stock what their local customers want to buy. But oftentimes, let's say somebody has the product spec'd and they're buying a lot of it and then they change their spec. That distributor may end up with overstock of a product that no longer has demand from their local customer base. But they're not allowed to sell that product to someone else in a different state that may need it. And during COVID, when everybody was scrambling to find these parts and they were, not even available, the fact that this was the case was astounding to me. And I would call on behalf of my customers or people I knew. I would try to call every one of those distributors and ask them, hey, do you have this in stock? And they would first ask me, well, who are you? Do you have an account with us? Where do you live? Where do you do business? And I said, can you please just answer my question? Do you have it in stock? If they do, I will find a way to buy it from you. I will get someone on Craigslist that lives in your neighborhood to go pick it up for me if that's what you require. And oftentimes that was the case. They would say, yeah, we have it, but you can't buy it. And when I have $1 million machine on the floor waiting to be shipped out, I can't invoice, I can't ship it because it's missing a $10 bolt and somebody has it and they won't sell it to me. Like, to me, that just...
It's blowing my mind. I didn't know that. See?
This is not the topic of our conversation today.
It isn't, but it's just, well, now I'm really sour. I don't know what to do. Wow. Well, there's smart people out there. Hopefully things will change.
They are, but it's a I really will say it was a noble thing to try to solve the company that I was working for. Yeah. But then just as you dig through these layers and you realize how bad the problem is, how pervasive it is, and how complex it is to solve, because there's so many different reasons, right? And so much politics, to be honest, right? About this, between channel conflicts and keeping this distributor happy and not, and it's really, really a hairy problem to solve. I mean, we talk sometimes, I don't know if you've heard in your world, right? The concept of digital supply chains, right? To be able to actually follow through, like when things are available, where do they exist? Do they exist, right? Like certification, they do all this in like the aerospace industry and places where they absolutely have to know. But it's impossible for the rest of the industry because the building blocks are not there to connect everything. Like they're really not. You've got thousands of operators just working on this paper and there's nothing that connects all this information together.
It's like your life force getting sucked out of you. You're just sitting there going, I can't do it. I see it, but I can't. Yeah. I'm just running and I can't get to it. I see what could happen, but I can't get to it.
And theoretically, everyone agrees that it's a terrible situation and it needs to be better. But then when it comes down to actually, solving it, it's a very big...
Wow, I didn't know that. All
right.
Let's get on with the job.
So maybe you can understand now I work for a company that sells less than 100 products and we manufacture all of them ourselves. we own the supply chain end to end, and they're all in stock because I was done with that.
Yeah, no kidding. It's Weintek, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. Nikki just threw out HMI, and so if you didn't know what that meant, it's a human machine interface. There you go.
Yeah.
Which sounds so 22nd century.
Or operator interface. I find that they're called that in some cases. We're very, in our industry, we're very good with using our own acronyms and thinking everybody knows them.
To paint the picture, and correct me if I'm wrong. So I broadcast from IMTS, so I'm go there. And then of course at IMTS, you're seeing this equipment on the floor. It's big, it's impressive. And then of course, I was dazzled by, let's say, that CNC machine, massive, doing whatever it needs to do, CNC stuff. There's that interface. That's that individual doing stuff from it. But that interface is beyond what I understood. And there's communication, there's stuff, there's just right there. Is that what we're talking about? Is that a human interface?
Yes.
Human machine interface right there.
Exactly. It's usually in the form of a touchscreen. Sometimes it's a mixture of touchscreens and buttons, right? But it is really the mechanism with which a human being interacts with the machine. But it has become so much more than that. So you're right. There's a lot of other functionality that these things can serve that you don't see right off the bat.
Okay, go down Weintek. What is Weintek? And I guarantee you've misspelled it. I'm looking at how you spell it. You've misspelled it. So it's WEINTEK. See, I would have done WINTEC.
So the history is that this is actually a Taiwanese company. I'm sure you know, computer chips and LCD screens are manufactured mostly in Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
They are the capital of the world for that. And so back 30 years ago when Weintek was established, and we were the pioneers, or one of the pioneering companies to put out a color touchscreen. We were one of the earliest companies that are developing these HMIs. And so back when we first replaced push buttons and lights with touchscreens, Weintek was one of the first to do that. And we are a high volume manufacturer. So we are the original manufacturer. And for the first 20 years or so, we were primarily selling under other people's brands, right? So companies that make automation stuff, but don't have an expertise in manufacturing HMIs, they would private label our products and sell them as part of their lineup, right? So we have an installed base of millions. We produce and sell over 2 million HMIs a year. And we've been in business for 30 years. So you can imagine how many machines out there are powered by Weintek HMIs. But you wouldn't know because our brand name is not on it. There's either a different brand name on it or just no brand name whatsoever, because we're selling mostly to high volume machinery manufacturers. They don't need to slap another brand name on their machine just for the screen part, right? No. So we are kind of quietly powering a huge percentage, a number of machines in, factories of all types, as well as other industries like water. We see, I was at a water park with my kids this weekend. I see our HMI. They're just everywhere that you can think of controlling something, and a person has to interact with that.
Kids, you walk up, see kids, you see that right there?
Yeah, I actually used that. I was telling my kids, I was like, look, this is the type of thing that mommy sells, because I've been trying to, I've shown it to them, on my little demo, but for them to see it at the water park where we're about to go down the water slide, it's a great way to teach the kids. So
amazing.
We've been doing this for 30 years, and we have this good and bad problem of the fact that we make products that last forever. So some of our stuff out there, it looks terrible because it's 20 years old and it's been in the field for 20 years. And it still works, so it's not getting replaced. But we have really kept innovating on the HMI because it's the only thing that we do. It's all we care about. We make the software. We develop software specifically for that, and it comes free with all of our products. So anybody that wants to learn HMI development, you can also download it for free from our website. You don't need to buy anything. And which is in stark contrast to most other HMI companies. They charge subscriptions for the software and add-ons and all kinds of things like that.
How does your organization perform maintenance on these HMIs?
No.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah,
So what we do is we have really our manufacturing quality is, at the top of our list of concerns. And so we make a very, very high quality device. And that means if you look inside, you can design and manufacture these lots of different ways. But you would think inside a very powerful it's a computer with a screen. You'd have a bunch of boards that are connected. And no, we actually design everything. It's on a single board. It's conformally coded. So it's really meant to last a really, really, really long time in these industrial environments. But because of the way we manufacture them and because at the price point in which we sell them, you don't even need to bother repairing them. It's probably, let's say it costs $1,000 and it's lived for 20 years in your factory. If it breaks, you just buy a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to, no tears are going to, it's like, oh, wow. But they get
by the time you have to replace any one of these, you don't want to be buying that old model, right? You want to upgrade to something that gives you some newer features, better looking graphics, right? And so now, as we've gone through 3 decades of development and pushing the envelope on what these things can do, they've become more than just the operator interface to the machine. They're now also the machine connectivity to the rest of the organization, to the floor, to other machines. So it's a gateway. It can convert protocols. It can let you talk to other things on the machine that you otherwise may not be able to because of, that equipment is super old or it uses a communication protocol that your, controller doesn't have. It's kind of an all-in-one like bridge device. And to help you gather data from the machines and, make intelligent decisions with that, whether that means connecting your machine up to a system like a SCADA, which stands for supervisory control and data acquisition, which are typically very expensive software products that live on top of the actual sort of machinery that does the work. Yeah. Or we also even have our own dashboard products where you can, kind of connect it and all of that without even having to invest in something like a SCADA. Depends on the situation. But we really are specialists in that on machine.
So what you're saying is that I have this asset, whatever it is, this machine, this automated machine right there. I've got my HMI right there. And in this world of connected assets, I'm able to use your solution, your technology, and to be able to achieve that connected insights into that manufacturing, operation, saying, okay, I got that, I got this, and it's all interconnected in some way, shape, or form to my whatever system of record, which could be whatever CMMS. Is that what we're saying?
CMMS being one of them. It's actually that is an area that I have less experience in.
I feel like I can hold that over your head.
Yes, for sure. But yes, connecting to any whether it's the ERP, right, enterprise resource planning, inventory management. Who knows, right? The future is that these things are all connected somehow through a single source of truth. We could spend a whole lot of time talking about the realities of that digitalization stuff.
Yes.
But the point I want to make is, at its core, the human-machine interface is for the operator to operate the machine, right? Communicate with the machine, see faults, see how the machine is running. And in our case now, because we make HMIs where you can put multimedia, you can connect up to other web interfaces, you can have videos, you can have training instructions, you can have bill of materials for repair parts, you can have all of this now living on this little touchscreen computer, basically, that's on your machine. But then, the other part is connecting the machine. So we do actually a lot of retrofits where companies want to connect old assets somehow to the network.
Yeah.
But they maybe have a really old PLC that speaks a really old language, and it doesn't, you need a bunch of middleware, you need all kinds of software licenses to try to take that old thing and bring the data to somewhere that's useful. And that's something that we've decided to build into our HMI at completely no extra cost. There's no licensing needed and there's no extra hardware needed. So if you're using a Weintek HMI from the get-go, it just comes with it. We also built some other peripheral products so we can put that type of functionality into a gateway. If somebody really, A, doesn't need an operator interface, or B, they like what they have, but they need that extra, they need to connect their device up. So we do a lot. We We really, I think, are known as the HMI company, but we do a lot of IoT, so the industrial Internet of Things, just connecting these old assets up to the plant network or to the SCADA systems or to whatever other, supervisory type of system that people are using to try to get this whole big insight into their operations, right?
Does Weintek provide the resources to be able to do that? Let's say some sort of legacy interface.
So over 400 drivers that make it super easy just to connect our stuff to anything, any kind of controller that may be on the machine. So we actually, I have one use case. We met this manufacturer at Automate. They've got 50 old machines of mixed vintages that they need to connect together to talk to their SCADA system. And they were able to throw our gateways on all of them, and without paying for any software licenses or anything like that. And our engineers help them figure it out, make sure everything works. We will, provide those resources, or in a lot of cases, it would be through our distributor, right? If it's a plant, like an end user, then it's our distributors along with our team that help get that together. And then I was on the call with somebody that was driving yesterday onto a site where it's a $30 million plant that has changed hands, and the new owner is locked out of all the control systems. They can't talk to them, and the machines don't work.
What? How does that happen?
That is a long story that involves, some legalities and things like that. Companies going out of business and not paying for whatever, and
backing up out of that one. I don't want anything, but I'm on your website right here.
But the point being is that this integrator said the only way that I can get all of this equipment to work is to put a bunch of Weintek's on it, because it can talk to everything. And he was like, I have this brand, this brand, this brand, and this brand, and they're all from Europe, and they don't talk to each other. And the only way that I know how to make all of this work is just to put your products on them. And I know it'll work. It's the only way to get it to work. And I feel like that's a kind of thing I would normally not say, but I literally just got this call yesterday, and it's kind of crazy. Like, I know of machines that are bricks, or, people that have a robot that they bought and it never works, so they call it a $20,000 paperweight. Well, I have never heard of a $30 million paperweight until yesterday.
Oh, that's a heck of a story. Now I'm on your website here, and I was looking. The reason I'm on your website because I'm looking at the logo. And when you said we have these technicians and they're running around, do those vans have your logo on them? It's driving me crazy that nobody knows about Weintek.
No, so we are actually a very small team. We're a fairly small team here in the US with Weintek USA, and the company in general, because we are so focused, we only make a few products. So it's really our network of distributors and systems integrators that helps out our users, the end users of the products. What we do is we work with the machinery manufacturers that put our screens on their machines. Those are primarily who we work with to get, help them design equipment and make sure that they're, putting the right thing in there. And then we have this great network of technical automation distributors, and they're the ones that really help the end user make sure that everything works together with all the other products that go into automation that we are not specialists in, right?
So what I hear you saying, I've got a device, this interface that's, let's say, indestructible. It's built to last. It has all of the guts and internals that can communicate pretty much with anything.
Yep.
And it's not going to cost me. If I need to figure it out, I can, get the code. I can code it myself. You can learn how to use it yourself. Our software's called Easy Builder Pro. So it's meant to be easy to start with, but it has all the pro features that you would expect from a very expensive, if you're like really a expert HMI developer, you want all kinds of advanced features like scripting, doing your own stuff, right? Right.
We can take you from A to Z. Like if you've never programmed an HMI before, you can just download the software, go through the tutorials. It's really easy to do, basic programming, right? But there's just not a lot of people in the industry or companies that will give you any of this training for free, because there's a whole industry to that, even, right? To charge industrial companies a lot of money to get trained on this industrial equipment.
Well, if I had some automation that needed a HMI, I would go. Weintek would be the way to go, but
it's also going to be probably the most cost-effective option on the market, even if you don't count, what you get on the spec sheet.
Yeah, you're dropping bombs here. They're like value bombs, but why would somebody be reluctant to? What's the roadblock? What's that?
The roadblock really is that most people are tied into an ecosystem where they're buying entire control lines from one vendor, and so usually companies buy the HMI from the same company that they're buying a PLC from, right?
Yeah.
So this is a little bit less relevant to like CNC machines.
Yeah.
But other types of industrial machines are typically controlled by what's called a PLC, or a programmable logic controller. Yeah. And it's a type of industrial computer. Yeah. And again, it's, you don't want to run a factory machine on a PC and have to do updates or have you blue screen it to death, right? These things are hardware, they're very specific to running in these industrial environments. And so most people they buy the PLC and the HMI from the same vendor. And there are few big names, depending on whether you're in Europe or in the US, that are just the defaults. And so I think our challenge is that we are just not known outside those OEMs that are buying and installing these on thousands of pieces of equipment per year, because our brand name is not on them most of the time.
Yeah.
And most people are not necessarily thinking, specifically about the HMI and dealing with the best-in-class manufacturer of the HMI itself. But we actually became a lot more well-known during COVID, because when other manufacturers that were not the primary manufacturers of their HMI, usually in the first place anyway, they could not deliver. And because we own our factories, we own our supply chains, we can change the chip out on our devices and, have the line up and running in 3 weeks. Yeah. We were delivering and we had stock of everything. And that is when a lot of these companies that wouldn't have bothered looking for a replacement, or wouldn't have ventured out of their brand name ecosystem that they're kind of tied into, they ended up buying a Weintek because it was available, and then realizing that they could save tons of money and have a better product by dealing with someone on the HMIs that actually is the manufacturer of the HMIs.
You're vertically integrated. You're there. You're just
and you mentioned the logo, so people can't see this, right, if they're watching this show or they're, but I'll put it's kind of funny. Everything comes back, trends and stuff. Right, it's a kind of pixelated looking finger touching a screen. And now I'm just like, all the Minecraft style things that I could build with this logo, I feel like it's come around. It's very on the nose. We make touch screens, right? Like that is our entire identity, is that we make these HMIs, and our logo is this big finger touching a screen.
If you're visually challenged, I thought it was an exclamation point until you said that, and then I'm going,
well, okay, that depends on whether you're looking at the name version of the logo, which is the Weintek, and then we actually have that little finger as kind of an upside down like eye. But if you're in a place where you can see the icon style of the logo.
There it is. I got it. Yeah.
Now it makes a little more sense, right?
There it is. It's down at the bottom. It's down at the bottom of your website.
Yeah.
I had to scroll. I got tired of this. My fingers were getting tired scrolling through your website. Well, it's chock full. You guys got mad skills. I mean, this is cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's a company of engineers that has been privately owned for 30 years, and they plan on continuing to innovate and manufacture HMIs for a long time to come, which is another thing that's just not all too common in this industry, is people that are sticking with what they do best and continuing to do it.
Look at that. And again, I'm on your website and I got all distracted. SpaceX?
We have a lot of, you name it, if they manufacture something, they probably have a Weintek HMI in their factory, whether they know it or not.
And you got FANUC.
Yeah, we do business with most of the manufacturers of the world. We connect with every major brand of PLC, robot, controller, you name it.
It's so cool. I every time I go to these large conferences and see the technology, it's truly my type of Disneyland.
Oh yeah.
Because and you just can't stop staring.
I'd say one of the things that probably drew me to doing this type of stuff is I actually went to a trade show with my dad when I was probably like 12.
Well, 4 years ago?
And I thought it was just the coolest thing ever to be able to walk this huge hall and like see so much stuff and learn so much stuff and talk to people and get free things.
It is. The first time I went to IMTS, and it's like the first time you go to Grand Canyon.
I will say IMTS blew my mind. As a person that's been to trade shows for over a decade, IMTS was still the biggest, most insane thing I've ever been to. And that was just 2 years ago. No, 4 years ago, maybe now.
It's put that on your calendar. It's this year too. 26. 26 coming around. It's amazing. And I had Akuma on once, had that. Then I can't even calculate the amount of money they spend to be there. I can't.
Right? Those crazy 2-story booths with the cafes and
Then they wheel in the machines and then they plug them.
And then they sell them. That part blew my mind too, because I typically am at trade shows where nobody's actually selling anything. You know, it's always follow up later to see those giant machines on the floor and then ring in that bell because somebody just bought one. I mean, that's another level.
That's another level, man. It's like, no way. Ding, ding, ding. Get out of here. That's when an angel has its wings. All right. Well, we have to wrap it up.
Yes.
And I hate to, because it's been going on for. You're the first person I've ever spoken to from Iceland.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, because there's what?
There's like 350,000 people.
Of you? So. That's right. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way? You're going to say LinkedIn because you're active on LinkedIn, so that's one way. And we're going to have your website out there, Weintek.
Yeah, thank you, Weintek.
You also have
lots of people call us Weintek. I don't really care. We don't care if you're talking about us. That's great. Weintek, Weintek. Who cares? We like to say Weintek because we would rather be winners than whiners. But it really is, I call it what you want. It's WEINTEK, USA.
And you have a podcast name?
My podcast name is called Automation Ladies. And we are some ladies that like automation. We talk about it. We talk to people about it. It's not a show for ladies or only about ladies. It's about automation and our industry and what we do. And I got the inspiration from a podcast called Office Ladies, which is Angela and Pam from The Office. And they're best friends, and they talk about The Office.
Oh, there you go, man. Well, that's smart. And
automationladies.io is our website. And my contact there is Nikki at automationladies.io if you feel the urge to email me, which I don't see why people would, but you're totally welcome to.
You guys are unicorns.
Easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn, for sure.
Yeah, we'll have that contact. Well, you were absolutely stunning. Stellar. Running out of words now. You're just fantastic.
Well, thank you for a very fun conversation and for entertaining my digressions.
I like it. All right. We're going to have all the contact information for Nikki out on Industrial Talk. So this is a must-connect individual. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Yep. That is Nikki Gonzales. Yeah. How about that for an incredible conversation? You rewind it and listen to some more of it. Because that's Nikki Gonzales. She's amazing. Weintek is the company. Human machine interface, HMI, plus a bunch of other topics. We just went off on tangents. Tangent, another tangent, because she is that engaging. Yeah, you need to reach out to her. Industrial Talk, and I'll make it easy for you. Industrial Talk, there's the link to her stat card, and you're just saying, oh, thank you very much. Reach out. Make her a part of your network. Industrial Talk, the media company. This platform has 2 new podcasts. Ask Molly, and as well as Business Beatitudes, because we're going to be talking about the heart. Check them out. All right. Be bold. Be brave. dare greatly. Tell your story on Industrial Talk. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.